Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of our entitled people. In today's episode, she called me like a dog. The time I bought a $500 car. What would you guys do with these entitled neighbors? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. She called me like a dog. About a decade ago, I worked in this rinky-dink little arcade right next to a large movie theater. People usually only came in to play while they waited for their movie to start. Honestly, I enjoyed the job well enough. The boss had multiple stores to run, so it was usually just me all by my lonesome. I used it as an opportunity to do schoolwork or read a book. I also got very good at both broom spinning and key catching. Once I got caught by the UPS driver doing a full-on song and danced to myself because I thought I was alone. But I digress. One sweltering summer day, I lived in Florida at the time. It was hot, humid, and the AC was broken. It had been for a while by that point. As I melted in front of the fan, a mother and her daughter entered. The little girl was no more than possibly 2 or 3. Mom had the typical Karen feel. Back before I had ever even heard the term Karen or Chad, she had all the trademark identifiers. A-line haircut, jumbo-sized sunglasses, a purse perfectly sized for a petite dog, and a Starbucks coffee clenched in her perfectly manicured hand. She entered jabbering away on the phone, of course. For a Karen must keep talking the way a shark must keep swimming, she will die otherwise. Firstly, her daughter was all over the place. Climbing various machines, trying to come behind the prize counter, normal young child exploration that should have been curbed by her parent. Meanwhile, mommy dearest is blathering away on the phone, not even watching her little angel. After probably 10 minutes, during which she got quarters and her daughter played a few games, she apparently encounters a problem with the game she's using. Since she's still on the phone, she does the only reasonable thing. If you are a rude, inconsiderate person with zero social skills, that is. She snapped her fingers and pointed at the spot right next to her. I was floored, flabbergasted, and could honestly not believe that someone had legitimately tried to call me over like that. So I did what any sane person does in this situation. I ignored her. She did it again, even adding an impatient little clap the second time. Still I ignored her, until she finally got my attention using words. That's when I smiled my sweetest smile. "Oh, did you need help with something? I'm sorry, I don't speak rude." She wasn't happy, but it felt good. Her daughter ended up leaving with a pink jelly bracelet as her prize. For a Karen must keep talking the way a shark must keep swimming, she will die otherwise. I am laughing so hard. She did it again, even adding an impatient little clap the second time. Still I ignored her, until she finally got my attention using words. That's when I smiled my sweetest smile. "Oh, did you need help with something? I'm sorry, I don't speak rude. I love this part, and I am so glad you put that obnoxious woman in her place. I can't imagine how she thought this was how you are supposed to speak to other people. I know most people don't technically consider Florida the official South, but it's still the South. This is not an acceptable way for Southerners to speak to strangers, regardless if you are a teenager or an adult. That's just rude." It's my guess she had at least some Southern roots, and that's why she didn't yell at you when you pointed it out, but instead shut the hell up because she knew better. That was very well done and showed great presence of mind. You had the perfect answer. Thank you. I may not be super confrontational, however, I'm also not about to let someone treat me that way. The time I bought a $500 car. Alright, so I was listening to the daily Dark Fluff upload, and it reminded me of something I haven't thought about in a long time. This is the story of how I bought a 2004 Mazda RX-8 Shinka edition for $500 in 2008. In 2008 I was 21. Craigslist was still the website for everything from cars to hookups, and America wasn't quite freaking me out yet. The RX-8 hit the market in 2003 and I fell in love with the way they looked immediately. however they were stickered from around $35K for a base model and I was a 16-year-old kid from a lower-class family at the time. I spent years in high school delivering pizza and helping out with my uncle on the weekends at the shop he worked at. Anything to get a few more dollars for my super cool race car. At the time I had bought a second-gen Eclipse GSX and truly had no idea just how cool this car was. Every night I would lay in bed before sleep and look at cars listed on Craigslist for sale. My girlfriend of the time often complained. You know, gearhead stuff. By 2008 I was an ASE certified mechanic and had been driving a tow truck for a little over 3 years. One night while laying in bed with my then GF I came across an ad for a 2004 RX-8 Shinka, black on a set of chrome aftermarket, but knockoff wheels. It looked great. However, the ad explained that it had a blown motor and would need to be replaced and was not covered by warranty. Having been in love with these cars, and the older models of the RX-7 and Cosmo, I knew a lot about them. You see, Mazda's RX line have special engines in them, they're rotary motors instead of pistons like a 4-cylinder or V8. I also happen to be a certified rotary tech. I contacted the seller and asked why he thought the motor was blown, and he responded with something like, "I'm a mechanic and own a shop. We've had the car for a few months and cannot get it running. These dang rotaries are weird and known to blow up." "It's blown." "I know it is." I asked him if I could come meet him in the morning and look the car over, and he agreed. I originally rode down alone and looked the car over. From henceforth EM equals entitled mechanic. Me: "Hey man, if I'm able to fix it for you, would you be willing to make me some kind of deal?" "I'm pretty Sue." EM cutting me off: "No, it has a blown motor, either give me $500 or I'm not selling it." Me: "Yeah, but I'm a cert." EM: "I don't care what you are, only if you have $500. Me: "Okay, does it start at all?" EM: "It will start and run for about a minute but shuts off again, or if you try to move it, it dies and won't start for hours afterward." Me: "Okay, I'm gonna look it over, here's $500. I looked the car over, did a compression test on the motor which came back good, and proceeded to do a Mazda's built-in system to cycle the motor, which pushes all excess fluids out of the motor when flooded. This took little more than pumping the brake 25 times while an accessory after turning the key on-off on. I let the car run for about 45 seconds and shut it off, already having the key and title. I explained I'd be back that night to pick it up and asked what time he closed, as his lot was gated. EM told me he'd be around until about 6:30 and I agreed to be there at 6 p.m. We parted ways for the day. While I was at work, I called up my brother-in-law, who's also a mechanic, and explained everything, asked him to give me a ride down as it'd be much cheaper to pay his gas than pay for the diesel to run a tow truck down after work. We hopping into his Mustang around 4:50 and headed out. We parked right in front of the guy's shop and I walked in to tell him I was here to take the car and thank him. EM: "When is your tow truck gonna be here? I don't have all night, kid. You're gonna have to push it out on the street if they take too long." Me: "Oh, no need for a tow truck, I brought a transport tag from my work. I tried to tell you I'm a mechanic who actually specializes in these cars. There's nothing wrong with it. My brother is bolting a transport tag on it right now." EM: "Bullshit, kid, that motor is blown. Get it off my lot." Me: "Have a nice day and thanks again for the car, man." I walked out and hopped into the RX-8, started it and followed my bro-in-law out of the lot. Looking in my rear view, I could see EM standing in his parking lot, literally stomping on his hat. He had spiked like a football onto the pavement. When I got home, I checked my email and had one from EM demanding another $10K for the car as he didn't know it ran. I explained to him in the email. EM: "I attempted to tell you twice that I was a certified rotary tech and even offered to look the car over before buying it. You refused to even hear me, let alone acknowledge what I was saying. I understand that you are angry, but I don't care what you are. I gave you $500 as agreed. Have a nice night." EM emailed me another 30 plus times after this and I never responded. Hope he's doing well these days. I totaled the RX-8 in a not my fault accident in 2017. I do miss it, but I upgraded to a 1993 RX-7. My dad used to restore classic Thunderbirds as a hobby. He found a 1962, I believe, that had been sitting in some guy's yard for years. Owner said it didn't run and wanted $500 and to be rid of it. My dad got it chugging out of the guy's yard, around the corner. He stopped and got under the hood and adjusted, I think, the choke and drove it home. He made a nice profit. The same sort of thing happened to me when I took sewing in grade 7. My mom told me I could have her sewing machine, but it didn't work. If I figured out how to fix it, I could have it. Turns out when I threaded both the top and bobbin correctly, and adjusted the tension dial, the machine ran perfectly. What would you guys do with these entitled neighbors? I have been living next to the worst, most entitled neighbors I've ever had for over 2 years now. Here's a little background. I'm in Australia. My neighbors in question are a bogan couple in their 40s with no kids that I know of. They are incredibly selfish and inconsiderate. The blocks where we live are tiny. Our house is only a couple of meters away from theirs and we have tiny outdoor spaces. They party in the warmer months in their backyard sometimes until 1 to 2 a.m. Drunk and yelling, swearing, playing live musical instruments, having open pit smoky fires, etc. They have had huge screaming domestic fights that went until the early hours of the morning, and the other neighbors have called the police on them twice for this. We once woke up at 4 a.m. to 3 police cars with lights flashing outside our bedroom window. They have installed a hot tub right up against our fence and sit in it almost every single time we have nice weather. They run the pump and yell over the noise to talk to each other until late at night several times a week in the warmer months. We have given up using our own yard in nice weather as we rarely get any peace and quiet out there. They both run home businesses, so their customers use up all the street parking. His business is leasing out industrial equipment which he parks in the street. They block our driveway every time they need to hitch/unhitch one of their trailers. He bangs and crashes around outside our bedroom window tinkering with his trailers late at night sometimes. He also installed a massive advertisement flag right on the border of our property which flaps over our driveway in the wind and is an absolute eyesore. She is constantly doing loud DIY projects that go for months on end. She always does this right outside our living room window. Despite being home all day, every day, she chooses to use her power sander in the evenings when we get home from work and on weekends, meaning we get no time to quietly relax most days inside our own house. She smokes all the time, so we have to keep our windows shut mostly, and once we found a cigarette but that had been flicked over our fence while still lit. It has permanently melted a spot in our AstroTurf. They installed a super-powered flood light down the side of their house that points directly into one of our bedrooms. They turn it on randomly some nights and sometimes at like 5 to 6 a.m. We used this as the guest bedroom originally, but we have had to rearrange the house and now just use that room as a gym room because our guests can't sleep in there due to the noise and their stupid floodlight. They also have a yapping little dog, of course, and chickens for some reason. The chook feed attracts rats which keep trying to nest in our roof. They have a huge umbrella that doesn't fit in their backyard area and hangs over our fence by nearly a meter every time it's opened. It blew over our fence one day in strong wind and nearly smashed our window. We have tried banging on the window when they are partying to tell them to be quiet or go inside. We have talked to them about not hanging their belongings over onto our property. We have anonymously reported them to the council multiple times and they have been warned to keep it down, but nothing is changing. I just had to endure several hours of power tool noise today on a Saturday afternoon yet again. We don't know what to do without starting a fight with them, which we don't want. Has anyone here successfully dealt with idiots like this before without it turning into an ongoing fight? We don't want to make things nasty between us, but we can't keep putting up with this. It makes my blood boil that they think they are entitled to invade my home with their ridiculous noise every day. Any suggestions would be much appreciated. First of all, don't let the bastards get you down. Be smart and enjoy the game of vexing impolite neighbors in ways that are not confrontational. Kill with a borrowed knife. 1. Maybe start with the business aspect. Is it legal to run that kind of a business out of a house? Council members are, in my experience, self-aggrandizing assholes with a need to wield power of fines and violations to inflict pain. Show them the shining path to your neighbors to get the heavy equipment issue sorted. 2. Those rats that they have attracted could end up dead in the hot tub, could all have a secret wish to become lemmings. One after another into the hot tub. Neighbors may then pause using the hot tub to hunt rats. Maybe amend their current rodent feeding ways. 3. If your windows are closed and you are safe indoors anyway, maybe invite some mosquitoes to share the great outdoors with your neighbors for a while. A few cans of stagnant water on the lawn near the hot tub should get them over the fence. 4. Add some cardio resistance to your exercise routine in the form of a silent dog whistle. 5. Spruce up your gym window with reflective film. Maybe a disco ball in front of it. 6. Park on the street in front of your house, nosing into the street, if legal, to make their trailer attachment/detachment hassles move along a little. 7. Block their banner from being viewed across your property by parking/placing an umbrella/planting a tree in front of it on your property. Panel van? Friend with a panel van? Park it there. 8. Listen to those domestic fights. Take notes. Send anonymous postcards to drop hints. Widen the divide between them. 9. Bluetooth speakers with mosquito drone sounds controlled by your mobile phone. Activate whenever they are outside and have them hunt an invisible enemy. Life is too short not to savor little opportunities like these. I say fight fire with fire. Make as much noise as you can. They're in the hot tub, go turn on a leaf blower. They're smoking under your window, turn on a sprinkler. They are up late partying, make lots of noise at 6 a.m. Yeah, I've considered this. I always end up deciding not to follow through because I don't want to start a war or give them the green light to be even louder. Following because I have the same assholes as neighbors in California. Except mine are unemployed, alcoholics, drug addicts, and think they are gangsters, so we get the fires, loud music, epic fights and shady friends all day long. I know your pain, Redheart. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.